Welcome to the Whose Life Is It Anyway podcast. We made this for you who are now ready to help create a world that works for everyone. Enjoy.
Hi and welcome. Today we are talking to Lars Mygind, who was an actor for 10 years, a businessman for another 10 years, and since 2000 has been a psychotherapist. He is running the Mygind Institute alongside his wife, where they've educated over 2,000 psychotherapists in Denmark. He has written several books and he has a list of education so long that I'm not going to go into it right here. The Mygind Institute is working on building bridges between the government healthcare system and the alternative. He is working on how traumas manifest themselves in the bodies and is working on how to release one trauma per session in a very fast way. So welcome, Lars. We've been very much looking forward to talking to you.
Thank you very much. What a welcome.
Yeah.
It's always a little scary when you hear about your own background.
Oh,
So,
I forgot to mention you were a croupier as well.
yeah, I dealt blackjack and American roulette in Casino Copenhagen.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you've been around.
I have been around and seen a lot of tragedy, and fortunately right now I see a lot of happiness and peace and transformation and a lot of people leaving what we can call the material hunt to go for the spiritual peace hunt, including myself, and it's so beautiful. And I also believe this will be necessary if we are going to meet all the climate change goals and if we want to transform this world and make it a place where there's room for everybody.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm so passionate about this work, and right now I'm just, really understanding how amazing the people I work with are, and how they confront me and help me transform myself, and I'm just so super happy about that. And now, I realize the text I sent you maybe is a little weird because you said I run this institute with my wife. Actually, she died 2 months ago.
What?
I did not know this.
And due
By the
to
way, you didn't write that. That's me.
Yeah.
okay, so I created this together with my wife, and I believe the work I have been doing with myself means that my wife now works through me, and the loss of my wife has been really beautiful and gentle. She has had different cancers, 8 or 9 different cancers in the past 19 years, and it got really serious in 2013. 8 years ago, when the doctors did not believe that I would have Christmas with my wife. So using trauma healing and understanding my intelligent body has meant that my wife probably lived at least 5, 6, 7, 8 years longer than the doctors expected. So they saw a lot of miracles. They never intended to ask what we have done to create these miracles. But unfortunately, a lot of people, more and more people are curious on how trauma manifests in the body.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I believe that the cause of all disease, including cancer, is trauma. And I believe that sometimes when we heal the trauma, the cancer will disappear. Unfortunately, we did not manage this for my wife. So she did not die from the cancer. Actually, she died from the chemotherapy, but she would have died anyway from the cancer unless some last minute miracle had happened. So yeah, it was primary liver cancer, and her liver was functioning less and less as the cancer was growing. So it was a question about time. So I started my own personal growth journey 30 years ago. Imagine that, when I was 29, and went to talk therapy for 6 years. And I got a deep understanding of myself, but nothing changed in my behavior. And then after 6 years, I met some people doing breath work, which is actually excellent. At least the kind of breath work I was encountered for releasing trauma, and doing hundreds of breathwork sessions healed a lot of trauma, and suddenly my way of being in life changed. I used to have a lot of anxiety and phobias and fears, which I always overcame by forcing myself into situation I disliked. But it did not go away. I just used an immense willpower I had to move through my fears, but the fears were there anyway. And then, so I had all this emotional buildup in my system, and often I had to calm it down with cigarettes and alcohol. And when I was young, I used a lot of cannabis. And now, as I'm healing all this stuff, water is suddenly a very appealing, interesting drug, because when I drink water, I can feel myself, and I can experience myself and my love for you and for the viewers and the listeners and for myself. And it's just, just as I say this, I just feel my body vibrating. And it's just amazing, how my love with my wife grew this last year, and because of the people I have encountered. And I believe that if I really want to blow myself into the life I dream about, and really taking responsibility for myself and my own body, I need to consider healing my trauma. And I meet so many people and say, I have no trauma.
Yeah.
And it's just because they don't know what trauma is.
Yeah.
What I have done a lot of research together with the Institute for Study of Peak States in Canada, and we believe that the average human has an average of 5,000 trauma chains.
Okay.
Where you have like you have an original trauma, and then you have triggers. So you have about an average of 20 triggers on each original trauma. We call it a UDIN. A UDIN is an experience which is unexpected, dramatic, isolating, and no strategy.
Yeah.
So when you have this UDIN moment, then you have a program inside your body. If you don't immediately heal the UDIN, the UDIN is stored in your cells, and the UDIN is the foundation to easily reactivate the UDIN with triggers.
And then you have to relive that over and over again until you meet some instance where you can heal that, I assume.
Oh, die.
Or die. And then you pass it down genetically too.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and the fun part, people say, but I have never had any traumas. How can you say I have 5,000? Well,
Yeah.
now comes the bad news. The bad news is that most of your trauma is before birth. It's trauma you experience in the biology as a sperm, as an egg, as a fetus inside your mom. It is inherited trauma. A lot of the trauma is inherited. So, and now the research of the fact that you can actually inherit trauma, the research is booming.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
So it's not, when I started doing this work 20 years ago, we knew we could inherit trauma and we could heal it. But now, hundreds of experiments demonstrate how animals and humans inherit trauma and relive the trauma. And now comes the good part. The bad news, you have lots of trauma. It's before birth. The good news is it's super easy to heal.
Okay, so how do you do that? Just
So the way
lay
you
it
do
out.
it, so just let it out, we might as well explain it.
Yeah.
And, some people will, from this explanation, be able to do it. And some needs guidance. Some needs to go to a training. Some needs to go to a therapist to understand this way of working. But you find something annoying in your daily life that triggers you. So
Can do.
I get a letter from the tax office.
Yep.
And I don't even need to open it. I just need to receive a letter from the tax office, and I am what we call triggered.
Yeah.
Yep.
So a trigger is an emotion experienced physically in the body. So in Denmark, we have the expression that you can have butterflies in the stomach. And if you open the stomach and look in, there are no butterflies. It's just the sensation, the felt sensation that you have butterflies in the stomach. When I look at the letter from the tax office, I have a huge metal ball in my chest. This metal ball, if I open the chest and look in, there will be no metal ball, black metal ball in my chest. It's a physical felt sense. And this physical felt sense is what I travel on when I travel from the trigger to the trigger to the trigger to the Yuden to the originating trauma. So when I started doing therapy, we did trauma jumping. We had one trauma chain and I felt this metal ball in the chest. Then I jumped to another trauma chain where I had a burning sensation in my stomach. So it's very important that when you journey back, that you have the exact same physical felt sensation in the body when you journey back to the originating trauma.
How do you guide them back through that? Because like I've done a lot of work actually where I could travel back to that, like see their trauma and heal the original one. But if you guide people down through that, how do you do that?
So I have several ways of doing it. Mostly, many of the clients I have are not open to the fact that they need to journey before birth. So sometimes I just say to my client and to myself, please remember the first time you felt this sensation. And then experience you fall back 1 centimeter, half an inch. And then you are back. Now you are in the originating trauma. Stay there, be in the body, stay there, be in the body. And then I use tapping from thought field therapy and emotional freedom techniques, stay in the body. And mostly I just ask people mainly to put the hand over the solar plexus, because mostly people jump out of their body. So the observing self jumps out of the body through the solar plexus. So in order to stay in the body, keep your hand on the solar plexus and tap on in England, in English speaking countries, we call it the gamut spot. In Denmark, we call it the miracle spot, because when we tap here, while we are in body, feeling the physical felt black metal ball in the chest, and we tap here and we focus on this metal ball, and we don't ask it to go away or to do anything. We are just there with attention, love, and acceptance.
Yeah.
And we breathe calmly and we keep tapping. And if nothing happens, we do different exercises, but mainly we tap the hands together to correct for polarity reversal. And we massage also up here to correct for polarity reversal. And
what
then
is polarity reversal?
Polarity reversal is the main reason people don't heal. And it's because we have 26 meridians in the body, and there are like 26 battery packs, and there are polarized plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus. Like you have these 26 battery packs, and if some batteries are turning the wrong way around, you will heal slow or not at all.
Yeah.
So in order to turn the batteries the correct way around, you tap your hands together 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you massage here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then back, feel the physical sensation, feel the black metal ball in your chest. Oh, maybe you don't feel a today I had one with a grayish, grayish, dirty rubber band in her wrist. And, you can have all different kinds of physical felt sensation around in your body. And you just keep scanning your body, staying in body while you keep going at it until you're completely calm in your mind, peaceful in your heart, light in your body. And if you heal something before birth, then you also will feel bright and expanded. So if you go to a very good therapist and you have, you release a huge trauma and you believe that it was from a traffic accident, and you're there and you're, oh, I have let go of this traffic accident, and you are calm in the mind. So your mind has completely calmed down. There's no thoughts. You're just like, oh, and your heart is completely at peace, and your body is like light or heavy. Either it feels like your body is floating, or you can also feel like your body is super heavy, like you're moving through the chair, through the ground, because you're really, for the first time, really in body, being grounded, and you're having this feeling like there's a super bright light inside your body, and you're having this expanding experience. Oh, there's so much space for me here. Then you have healed actually a trauma before birth.
Wow.
Fantastic. Okay, so I assume now all of our listeners would really love to experience that state of being.
It sounds really amazing.
I definitely do.
Yeah.
I've been there, but it's been like I could do with more. How do people like get to there? Like you are sitting in Denmark in your lovely office. We are talking to an international audience. How do they interact with you?
So I've been looking at how can they experience this, and actually I'm preparing an old training I actually did many years ago in English, which is Cure Fear of Exams, which I would like to offer free to the people who are listening in. And I expect that 10% of the people doing the training, where they tap along with me in this training, they will experience to come to this bright and expanding state. Otherwise, they, if they need to get to me, I'm just such a limited resource. So, but luckily I have trained some really good therapists speaking all different kinds of languages. So I'm sure I will be able to help you to find people who can get to experience this.
Yeah.
And
so in the mail this video goes out in, I will link, of course, to you and that page where they can find all these wonderful people you've trained, and find out more about you, and they can find the training you've been talking about, and anything else. I
would just love to say that you said I'm such a limited person, because you have experienced like being one with everything, and now it's like, but I'm only this one person.
Yeah, it's like when I came back from
it's so interesting. I'm right now working doing some new meditation techniques with a friend of mine, and we are in this expanding light most of the time during the day, and it's just like it's so interesting. We were talking about, I was trying to tell her how I was experiencing this, and I have felt love for many years, and now I'm in a new place where like love is just really boring.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting that you can step into a new space where love becomes two-dimensional, and there's like a third dimension of experience that opens you up in a completely new way.
I came back from one of those experiences, like, and told Katrina, I was like, I've experienced this God's all-pervading love, and then I just like, but I can't afford new underwear. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, how can you put those two things
Yeah,
together?
yeah. How can I put this together?
Yeah.
So depending on how, so before my wife died, she said, Lars, we have to put this online also in English. And as she has been really sick this past year, we have focused more on quality of life and you know, having a good life and maintaining our school where we train psychotherapists and tapping and mental health therapists and trauma therapists. And so this has been our focus, just to float our institute and also spend a lot of time together and, you know, really expand our love. And it's so interesting to see that my love for my wife can still grow after she dies, and she can work through me. So my being in the universe is completely different. And I'm right now, I'm like finding my feet and finding my new way in this life, and it just time will see how things will evolve and how it will happen, because I believe that this transformation I'm going through is not something that is happening by accident. Like some enlightened people, they were sitting in a park and then suddenly something, then they woke up and things look good. I have been working my ass off to find out what works.
Yeah.
And so I know exactly what steps, and I work now with many good people, and we are finding all different kinds of ways to assist different people. And what I know is there's not one way to have this well-being. I call it optimal well-being. It's like no matter how bad the world is, how broke you are, how miserable everything is, then you can still feel at peace. So I have been, really sad missing my wife, but it has been a lovely, indefinite sadness. It's not been a painful sadness. And that has been so curious, because I've had so many of my friends saying that they hope that I'm not in too much pain. And actually I have been confused and upside down, but I'm not in pain. And to go through violent emotional change without pain is just such a blissful experience. And I believe the only way we can do is to face our trauma and enter into the trauma in body and embody the trauma and accept and love and be with it and see how it releases. And so many beautiful techniques coming out, and so I know that there is a technique for everybody, or a combination of techniques, and I combine different meditation techniques and healing techniques, and it's just amazing. And the only thing I keep going back to is basic thought field therapy and clinical EFT, which is really the basis of my work.
Yeah.
Right.
So so I guess your answer to the question, whose life is it anyway, is either your traumas or the love beyond the love, the great love.
Do I dare to surrender to the unified consciousness and you can call it the source or the universe or God or whatever you like. Do I dare to surrender to that and let it guide me into love and awe and fulfillment? Do I allow that? But to allow it, I need to take action. For the action to happen, I need to surrender. So it's constantly willpower, action, letting go of willpower, surrender. And I haven't cracked it completely. I can explain it, but I you have to experiment yourself on how do I take action? How do I surrender? Because I know I help people take action, but I can't teach you to surrender.
No.
You have to trust the process. You have to trust me. You have to trust yourself. And then.
And you can't force people to trust or let go.
No.
That's no, it has to come from inside.
It has to come in from inside, and it happens. And as you're watching this video, you're considering, am I willing to let go? Am I willing to trust? And maybe you just have, I have one, little exercise, a tapping exercise, which is because in order for this to happen, you need to raise your self-esteem. And the main ingredient for most people who haven't worked with themselves to raise their self-esteem is self-love. And so I would like if we could do a little exercise together where you mimic me, and I, of course, I hope the listeners will do this exercise together with us.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you just saw, head on over to whoselifeisitsummit.com/podcast, where you can find full-length episodes as well as in audio format, and we do a lot of other cool stuff. You can hang out with us and other like-minded individuals who want to create a world that works for everyone, and we do that on our platform where we can chat, and we have Q&As and exclusive interviews as well. So there's so much to get over there. So come on over and play with us.